everybody, listen, we're here at the Hatcher effect. The reason I say effect is not to effect. When you effect, you push something, something falls over. When you affect something, something feels it from the inside, and you bring something and you pass it, that something back on to each other. I'm not perfect. I'm not a scientist. I'm a guy that just out of the high school, I joined the Marine Corps. And from that, I went around the world and saw things in the eyes of a child. And by having the Hatcher effect, what we're doing right now, I wanted to touch the people that touched me. So even though I'd been interviewed and I'd done like really cool shows and been interviewed by lots of folks, I wanted to be able to positively but positively talk with people that I really they stood out. Like the way I stand out, and you might look at me or whatever, or hear my voice, they stood out for me. And they stood out because they encapsulated a lot of the things that I had felt. Now, today, we're going to go and touch someone who had touched the rest of the world. In the 1970s, a man named Chief Leonard Crodog, called together the entire Lakota Nation. And the reason that they did that is because the Bureau of Indian Affairs were corrupt. There were things going on. People were being arrested for carrying on Native American traditional practices, spirituality, just like everyone else that has a spirit in their life. And when he did that, they had an armed revolt on Pine Ridge and Rosebud Reservation, and the American Indian movement was born. And to support that, the greatest champion of all time, especially in my book, Muhammad Ali came there to support. Jane Fonda came to support. Marlon Brando came to support, which is really cool because these guys, they didn't have to do it. They were already on top of the world, but they understood, the power and the truth that lies in our native and African and our world culture and our indigenous ways. So today I'd like to welcome a friend of mine that spent some time with the great Muhammad Ali, and she took some of these photos that you see around here. And Christina, she's standing right there looking beautiful, and she's getting herself together, and here she comes. This is Miss Christina Jansen. Hey.
Aww.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very brave, aren't I? Lovely to see you.
Yeah. So as far as you know, we've been friends for quite a long time, right? Ever since 2013, when the Olympics was going on, because that's when you had your exhibition.
2012.
Was that 2012?
Yeah.
Ooh,
no 13 in there.
Oh,
yeah,
so yeah. So we had 2012. We had the 2012 Olympics, and you had this massive in Hackney Wick, right? A massive exhibition of your art, and was Ali, focusing on Ali. And you'll see around here we'll have certain photos of Ali. You'll see them later. We'll post them up. But I met you at Junglers on the night when what's the brother that did the jingles, like Cocoa Puffs? Oh my God, I know it.
Ronnie Bond.
Ronnie Bond, that's him, right? We had Ronnie Bond, and we went there and we hung out, and remember that?
Course, yeah,
that's right.
Okay.
And I had my shop just across.
I remember, I meet so many people now. Yeah.
I'm just one of the many.
And dear old Ronnie has passed away, but he was also very well known for only the crumbliest, flakiest chocolate.
Ooh.
The chocolate, yeah.
Sounds like
Beautiful,
white berry white.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
No, he was a beautiful man. I miss him. Yeah, but
I remember him. He was Cocoa Puffs himself sometimes. He was a good guy.
Yeah.
He was a good egg.
Yeah.
Right. So when I saw you, I remember that Ali was coming to the Olympics, and that someone said that you knew, and I was like, man, if this lady right here can introduce me to Muhammad Ali, I mean, there's, I'll give you a little secret. My friend who's going to be on the podcast next week, his name is Tony Massive. And Tony had said, I remember us saying that if Nelson Mandela or Muhammad Ali were to pass away, that we were going to take a week off or whatever we were doing just to think about what the contribution that they did for us. And so when you came and you were talking about Muhammad Ali, and he's there in London, and he just left, right?
No. What happened is that I
correct me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think Ali was coming in 2012 because he was quite poorly.
Yeah.
So what I did when I put together this celebration for his 70th birthday, so it wasn't, the exhibition wasn't just my pictures, but I got pictures from all over the world.
Yeah.
And so I decided, because I didn't think Ali was, so I invited his brother over. So Rahman and his wife came.
That's right.
And I looked after them, and they were sweetie pies. And Rach actually opened the exhibition at the Hackney Wick at Foreman's Gallery. But then I found out that Ali was actually in town. So that was a surprise. Yeah. And Lonnie had brought him over for a big charity event at the V&A. And all the usual suspects were there. I ended up talking to Lonnie on the phone. She invited me over.
Who's the usual suspects?
Bob Geldof and the rest.
Oh yeah, those guys
everybody. But I was very thrilled because I met Lewis Hamilton and a few other people while waiting to see Ali with Rach. And I'll keep it short, but the sad part
keep it long as you want. This is a podcast.
No, but the sad part was that after waiting for a while in the back garden where all the celebs were for this charity, I got eventually shown in with Rach and his wife to see Ali, but he was very, very poorly, and I even he was overheated and shaking. And I got a file out of this box, and I was sort of, this is ironic, fanning him, and it's like, oh no. And eventually,
you're his biggest fan.
Yeah, well, that's very good.
Thank you very much. You got to keep it later.
Anyway, then Rach and Caroline and myself sat down at the table, but Lonnie had not put his brother next to Ali. We were sitting right in the corner, which upset Rahman. And about halfway through the whole thing, Rach said, "Can we please go?" Yeah. I said, "Of course we can." Yeah. So I took them away, and then they were still hungry. It was very expensive dinner.
Yeah, I bet.
So I took them to McDonald's in Camden, and I put them up in a hotel in Swiss Cottage.
So they stayed up in Swiss Cottage. Did you take them to the marathon and let them hear the guitar guy in the back?
No, I just took them. No. But Rach was a sweetie pie, and I put them up in a hotel in Swiss Cottage.
But you knew Ali back in the 80s. That's why we have this photo. We could show everybody this one here.
Late 80s.
In the late 80s.
So what happened is I finished my degree and I came to London and all the various experiences when I first arrived. But I got to work on commercials, and then I got a call one day saying, "Can you come and do this commercial on Film Studios?" I had no idea I was going to be there.
Right.
And then when I arrived, I realised Ali was sitting there, and they said, "Oh, just go and say hello." And I went, "Oh," but within minutes, I did, and he. Genuinely, I know a lot of people have said this, and they don't believe it, but he did genuinely, absolutely was the same to everyone. I was very relaxed, and so people around. But the commercial that I was doing, so it was just for a powdered milk drink, Primo, and half of which was owned by Ali, and his face was on this tin. Okay, but the other half was owned by Bob Guccione. As in the porn king of America.
All right, we're supposed to talk about these things.
And wow, and that. So
did you meet him as well?
No, but I was surrounded by all this Italian mafia, and it turned out that a famous spy called Larry Cole was actually there. I think he's in one of my photos.
Okay. You think or you know?
I know he is. Yeah. And but at the end of the shoot, and I had a lovely time, and went in and out, and I got to a point. Where I could talk to Ali and just say, "How are you today?" It was very relaxed, and he was,
He always remembered people, I heard. If he met you when you were just a regular kind of guy, and you wouldn't think that Ali would remember you from the thousands of people that he met. He would just "Hey, how you doing, Frank? How'd you meet? You only met me 3 years ago," and just like that, he would remember people over years. He had an amazing
and there was just a stunning story. There was a chap I met on the set called Ross Routledge, who was a British telecom engineer from Newcastle. Wrote a letter to Ali saying, "I love you very much," and he saved up money and he wanted to come and see him. So Ali actually ended up ringing him, saying, "Yeah, come over." So Russ went over to Louisville and they knocked on his door, his house, and didn't think Ali was in, and they knocked on the window. And to cut a long story short, invited Russ to come and stay with him, and then Russ there's amateur footage, and had this such a lovely time. And that's what I said. Ali treated everybody the same. It didn't matter whether you were just a British telecom engineer from Newcastle or what.
Everybody's equal.
All the same. And then, cut a long story short, so after I threw the exhibition at the Olympics, and knowing Rahman and all that, and then people got to know me, then they used a couple of my photos for a movie, this woman, for the documentary I Am Ali. But not only did they use a couple of my pictures, I also managed to negotiate that they used Russ's, this lovely guy, his amateur footage that he took while he was sitting in the cars with Ali and all these people coming over and saying, Ali, Ali. And the sweetest bit of footage was that his little kiddie winks running up going, Daddy, Daddy, please don't box no more. And then I met years later on this documentary, Mariam Ali and Hannah. Two of his daughters came.
Yeah, she's a boxer as well.
No.
Was that Layla Ali?
Yeah. I didn't meet her. So
she's beautiful. Also a very beautiful girl. Because Ali is a very beautiful, powerful man, and then his daughter's also following Daddy's footsteps. Powerful.
Yeah, but Mariam, his eldest daughter, is a massive sort of. She works on loads of charities and stuff like that, and I'm hoping to get her over. But I'm still hoping to have an exhibition in the Great Hall in Parliament, which had to be delayed because of COVID, but I was on the middle trying to do that. Yeah. So I'm an ambassador now for a big charity, and I raise money through my pictures of Ali and.
But not just Ali, because you've taken on. For me personally, Christina right here, she's been on the scene helping us out as a band, like the original African Indians. Like, if you look at my Facebook page, that's your photo. I've kept that up for years. Even when those guys I weren't playing with anymore, I still kept that photo up. Yeah.
Well, I might have thought you might be a bit photogenic.
A little bit, it's funny because
your music ain't bad either.
Oh, thank you. It's okay. I've been practicing. But no, it's great because as an artist, like you if you don't have people like you, to just come out and just do that for us, because the music business is in a lot of trouble, and I know we got the A.I. coming up. What's your thoughts on what's going on with A.I. and what's happening with us as because you didn't just take pictures of Ali. You have Robert Plant, and you can name an array of people that are well-known people that you took, and they genuinely like you. Because you're just she's a lady. Like, you're just like, for me.
I'm okay, but my early days.
You weren't a lady?
No, it was just a handicap.
Glad we're not in Texas.
Because I didn't look like your average photographer, and I didn't look so bad.
Yeah,
and,
I know.
So I wasn't taken seriously.
Look at Christina there. She's so adorable.
But it was a handicap. It wasn't. It opened doors, but I have to say that even when I first had a meeting with a potential agent. Within minutes, and I'm showing him the work, he just jumped on me, and I just went through.
That's a hard thing in the business, isn't it?
A lot of that, but I stayed strong, and people have said stupid things when I've been on a set. Embarrassing. But I kept my dignity, and then they would come back after they see my work and come and apologize. Yeah.
That's another thing altogether. But they shouldn't have to see your work. They should be up there on the P's and Q's from.
But when I first started in the industry, it was mostly run by it was all men.
Masochists, porn star guys.
No, it's just but mostly it was men.
Well, when you started,
photography, yeah.
Well, you started off in Holland, right?
No, I was born there.
But I
came over to this country when I was 11.
You were 11 years old? Were you speaking English, or did you have to learn English when you got off?
I had to learn English when I got here.
Wow. So you were fluent Nederlands.
Yeah.
I lived there for 2.5 years. So I was in Utrecht, Enschede.
Yeah.
Groningen on the Zee.
I was so my mother actually is from Liverpool. Liverpool Ace-Always.
Liverpool. Yeah.
But she went to Amsterdam and then met my papa, who was one of Holland's top photojournalists.
Okay. Was he tall, like very tall Dutch?
Yeah, my mum was like 5'1", so the reason I'm reasonably tall is because I'm between the two of them. So cut a long story. She met my papa, and So I was born next to the Ajax football stadium.
Ajax.
Yeah. And
Yeah, I know
my
the
papa
Ajax.
was friends with Johan Cruyff and Neeskens and Krol and also Nureyev.
Okay.
And then, I don't want to go too deep, but anyway, then we moved from Amsterdam for a few years up in the Polderlands. I used to skate to school and all that.
Groningen and stuff?
No.
More the
I
west side?
I was right on the big Saddleback house, and I actually milked cows and drove tractors and did all that up there.
Wow! Did you used to pick mushrooms out of the poop?
I didn't know about mushrooms, darling, but I did take the
in
top.
Holland.
I took the top. I was come on, I was
I
like
know.
10 years. But I did have jobs like taking the tops of tulips and anyway. Cut a long story short, sadly my papa and my mama didn't get on, to say the least.
They didn't really get on.
No,
Okay.
I won't go into detail. So she ran away with my brother and I, and the Liverpool family had moved to South Devon.
Okay.
So, but by this time my mama was writing for Disney.
Disney.
Yeah, as well.
All
She
right.
wrote for Donald Duck magazine.
Donald Duck.
Yep.
All right, I like Donald Duck. He was an okay.
Yeah,
He always had an angry thing about him. Like, Donald was always angry. Like, he was like,
No, but the
upset.
beautiful thing about Disney is that when my mother started writing for them, they had to have a moral ending, all these stories. And I remember her first story with Donald and the nephews was called The Voyage of the Non-Leaky. So Donald and the nephews built this raft and they end up in Hawaii, and there's a wonderful ending.
Wow.
Anyway, but my mama, ran back here, and I learned my English down in Devon, my darling. I ended up in the middle of
Denmark.
Dartmoor. No, down in Devon.
Devon.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of a weird story with Disney. I'm not the biggest Disney fan right now. So we've had a little bit of family issues. But, it's a lot. That's the thing with these multinational companies. It just kind of like they go to another level, but they get really great artists and people that are like really looking to do something beautiful and creative, and all of a sudden this kind of mix up of business and, talent gets kind of intermixed. Now, who were you influenced by? I mean, what started you off like to start taking photos? Because I don't imagine that was your first love, was it?
No, I always wanted to do art.
Uh-huh.
And so I lived in a place called Totnes. I hung out in Dartington, where there's a lot of art. Dartington, down in Devon, my darling. And then I went to Torquay Tech, did a foundation course in art, and then I was kept being offered graphic design courses, and I didn't want to do that. So I found this amazing, very rare degree, which actually I think that should be happening more. I don't know what's going to happen, but so that you could do an honours degree in and with 2 subjects out of it. So there's 5: art, music, English, and dance. Because often you've got a dancer who might also be an actor, or an actor who's a writer, or a musician.
Renaissance people.
So and then we studied the likes of William Blake and so on. But this was on right up in the north near Crewe, in a place called Alsager, and on this site where there were still PE students as well. So we were the yips and the jocks, and it was very healthy in the bar. So we had the PE students, we had the artists, we had everybody there to put on a brilliant show. Yeah. I loved it, and I did art and drama.
Okay.
And cut a long story short, kicked out, decided not the drama, and then the art I was put off, so I picked up my papa's camera. Sadly, my papa had not been nice to my mum, and so I was resilient, but I took the camera, and then I started taking pictures, and I started doing photo silk screen, and realised that it actually was my love.
Okay.
Cut a long story short, end up in London, and I met amazing people. I can't go in now, all of it. But
why not?
Well, but there was a beautiful story, and I don't mind telling you this. When I was you think in the middle of Dartmoor, you'd not meet anybody. But one of my first boyfriends was a guy called Peter Richardson, who had a big Zephyr car and drove me around. And he dropped me off at uni, Crewe and Alsager, and he said to me he was going to start something called the comic strip.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Well, fine. Cut to 5 years later, I joined Peter in the George and Wardour Street, and it turns out, of course, he started the whole comic strip, and I met Rick Mail and Aid Edmondson and Nigel.
Rick Mail?
Yeah, all those people, and incredible. And actually, I ended up dating Aid Edmondson for a bit, but there was this blonde kept giving me dirty looks, so I let her have him.
Ooh.
No, it was a lovely time, a really, really special time. And I never took any pictures then because it was before we had, sort of carrying our phones around.
Yeah.
So, if you had your phone...
It's a different thing altogether. Everybody's a qualified telephone photographer nowadays, aren't they?
But it was a beautiful time. And then, I ended up, got a job in photo staff, which was the place where they employed photographers. And initially I was invited to be a photographer, do stuff in Germany, but I said no to that. I ended up then being the person behind the desk employed. But what I didn't realise is every time I went to my boss's office, I was chased around the filing cabinet. And those were the days when, normally this would now be
a lawsuit.
I had to go through all that rubbish.
Wish we were that lucky. In some cases.
And then, then I got approached because I looked after an amazing jingle writer called Jonathan Hodge, who was friends with that Ronnie Bonwier you mentioned. And then, so a company called Zomba asked me to run a jingle company, and did that for a few years, and while still taking photos, and I loved it. And since then, I have really not stopped taking photos.
But do you have triggers? Like, does anything when you're working like trigger you? Like, you get really upset if you're working. Like, you think like, okay, I'm doing my photos. There's something going on, either on the business end or what kind of like triggers you when you're working?
In what way?
Well, like, when you're doing what you're doing and you love what you're doing, there's certain things that just throw you off track. For example, if I'm about to play a gig and everybody's practiced up and all of a sudden the gig gets changed at the last minute, but everybody's ready and cancels things, that's a trigger for me for music. I mean, what's the things that trigger you if you're working? What's the things that you think like not you don't feel like you could be your best if that's kind of like going on?
I'm really I don't know. I mean, I've done because I'm going to tell you. So people say to me, "What do you photograph?"
Uh-huh.
And this is the truth. For a while, I would say everything from food to sex.
Yeah.
Just narrow it down.
Some people say it's the same.
The sex bit, I have to then quantify. I was the first photographer to do the covers since the cartoon, sort of with real people, and I got to cast it and everything. I loved it, and but it was being a Dutch girl, having naked people posing in this studio. It was all a bit people were a bit self-conscious.
Bohemian.
You probably wouldn't be, but these people.
Well, it depends on. If somebody was wearing like Fruit of the Looms or something like that, and they're dirty and like the elastics broke naked on them and stuff. Oh, well, that's, it depends on if they, do wash themselves, do they exercise, you don't want to see some, all right, hairy beasts running around like growling on the floor and stuff like that. And that's Bob, you know what I mean? It's like, some people like that. It's not my thing, like personally, but, we got to have a little bit of fun with it. But, when I do music, for example,
I was fine with it. Yeah.
You were okay with it? The nudity didn't bother you?
No, not me.
No.
Being a Dutch bird, it doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, because Holland, although people think that it's very conservative, open-minded, the Dutch are quite conservative.
What?
I think so. When I was there, it was like, I think that the biggest thing that they were interested in Holland, when I was there, because you had the Gabbers and all this type of thing, there was a lot of the coke kind of like thing vibe going on, and people weren't really smoking weed when I was there. And because they were like, oh, that stuff is too heavy for me.
But I'm not really talking about that. It's more I think the Dutch are a little bit more relaxed and open about nudity and all that. Not just that.
Side. Overall, when you look at how people are relaxed, you got to look at the overall the culture. I don't want to when I'm doing these things, I try not to hold back like what I've seen living there, because remember I lived there for 3 years. And for what I saw, it was really funny because you had the Germans would come over, and the Dutch do not like the Germans, generally speaking. And even on the German side, they wouldn't speak Dutch, but the Dutch would speak German. So there was always kind of a little bit of a seesaw on that part of the world for me. But that was 98,
By the way, I'm
96.
German as well.
Deutsch, yeah.
So my Oma
Uh-huh.
was also German Jewish.
German Jewish?
Yeah, and my Opa, my Dutch grandfather, helped save a lot of Jews during the war and hid them.
Okay, yeah.
So my Oma was called Frederica Kellerman, and he helped hide them and other people. So,
That's a bless.
So I'm a German-Dutch Scouser, actually. Yeah, I just realised that the other day.
All right. Dang, you know what I mean.
But yeah, no. Anyway, I enjoy. I've enjoyed all the work I've done and all the different things.
Yeah. One of the things I have to say about you is, and the reason I'm saying this is like when I go on a little bit on the edge, I'm a very out there character. You know that. No. I speak my. I speak my mind and I say the things that come off the top of my head. And I think that's important because we're all facing this type of kind of a censorship of ourselves. And sometimes that's good and sometimes it's not. I mean, I could tell some really amazing stories of like how I was in Holland on the most craziest things and some of the best and some of the worst things. But growing up in Holland is another thing altogether because you were there as a little child when, you know, before a lot of things had happened. I'm not going to reveal ages, of course, you're a lady, but you grew up in a time in Holland, I think it was a little bit more innocent,
Well, I remember when I was little, witnessing in Amsterdam, particularly, so it was the 60s. So, we're tiny and just seeing all the hippies with all the blankets. And you would have loved it, love.
I would have.
And it was absolutely packed in the Dam, you know, and I sort of have vague memories of that. And it was quite surreal then living in the borderlands and then ending up in the middle of Dartmoor.
So you left.
But after my degree, when I got an honours degree, I did an interesting thesis, which I might try and finish now, which was inspired by a picture of Don McCullum, a war photographer, and it was of a dying, sort of starving Biafran girl in a hut.
Okay.
And a very, very powerful image. But underneath, he'd written her name was Patience. And that blew me away, and that made me think about how words and images how they influence one another, and how it can change your perception, perhaps even. So I went right back to hieroglyphics, which were all in one, and then I went through history, and I looked through picture post everything, and now I've realised, and I'm giving the game away a bit, but we've almost gone full circle with our emojis. So I want to update it and make it a really good book. Okay. I'm very proud of that.
You've already started it? Have you started writing it?
Oh yeah. Well, I've got the thesis already. I just need to.
What's it going to be called? We gotta wait. We gotta do, make sure.
I have a title, but I'm going to keep that secret.
Yeah, that's a wise thing to do in this day and age, especially with everything going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen, we're in Matt Music right now.
Yeah.
And Christina's run. You've done a jam here. I've also recorded music here, and it's in Kentish Town, one of the coolest places. And like, Chris has been fighting to keep this place open, and it really is for artists and musicians.
It's a lovely place.
Oh, what a lovely place.
And bless his heart, Lawrence, the guy I did an open mic for, sadly passed away as well. And he started the whole open mic here. And, he was a real inspiration as well. Yeah.
Well, oh my goodness, it's Chris. He's just materialized out of thin air.
But he can tell you about Lawrence as well.
Chris, is that vodka or water, my friend?
That is water.
All right, before you start, this is Chris, the owner of Map Music. Choose a card, any card. All right, let's do it. Tell him what it says.
It says, a man who views the world the same at 50 as he did at 20. He wasted 30 years of his life.
That's a quote from Mr. Muhammad Ali. Christina brought that. I bought these cards because I think that, we have Robert Plant, we have Ali, but Ali, when we were kids, he was the guy that got us all to kind of stand up for ourselves. Like, if you faced a bully, that guy's bigger than you could whoop. But man, with Ali and that anger, when that power got into you, and that was Ali for me. That came in.
But also, he stuck to his beliefs, and he was willing to give up his whole career and go to prison.
We know.
Because he didn't want to go and kill people that he had no argument with.
We know. We're little Harlem kids.
Proud of him.
We're little Harlem kids, and little Res kids. We grew up there, and we were in that, like what he grew up in. So that was our environment. But for us, that one little spark to make you go out and to face that bully was Muhammad Ali. Now, you and Christina have known each other for how long, Chris?
That's a few years. Probably
10 years or so.
Oh, yeah, just a few years. They go fast.
A decade,
It's like,
a few years, right?
Was that 4 years? Oh, wow.
I
that's
first
crazy.
remember you giving me the photograph of the shot with
cards.
Cassius Clay.
Who's
Who's that?
He was actually a Muhammad Ali when
Ali.
he was Ali when I photographed him because he changed the name. Yeah, I mean, obviously I wasn't around.
Well, I knew
This is
him as
post-boxing.
Cassius as a young God. I think I was probably about 8 when I was into Cassius. And he came over to London to fight Henry Cooper.
Uh-oh.
And
Yeah, I heard about
before that, there was a fight with the two British heavyweight champions, which was Henry Cooper and I'm just trying to remember his name now, but Jim Walsh, who was an Irishman, and he lost the fight to Henry Cooper, and Henry was the one who was going to match Cassius Clay. And I followed that because my mother was having a kind of, I wouldn't say a flirtation, but the opposite way round. Joe Walsh used to come to our house quite often, most Saturday lunchtimes, and chat my mother up.
Oh, in front of your dad?
Yeah.
Ooh, boy, very
But
open-minded around
obviously,
here.
he didn't get to fight Cassius.
He was ready to fight. Your father's ready for the heavyweight champion at that point. Be like, you know.
I have a lovely story that Muhammad Ali told me. You know, 'cause one of the rarest. Henry was one of the few people that actually knocked Ali to the ground.
Yeah.
Right.
When I was talking to Ali,
He was just trying to tie his shoe.
no, it was a lovely story, and anyway. Ali told me the reason that Henry managed to get him is because he was distracted. He was eyeing up Elizabeth Taylor, who was sitting in the corner of the ring.
Yeah, she was
And
bad.
I recently also told this story to Joe Joyce, the Juggernaut, who's now coming up. So, that he loved it. And not many people know that one.
So he was at. Yeah, I would have been looking at. I would have been knocked out too, man. She was beautiful when she was young.
So apparently she was sitting in the corner of the ring. But I don't know how much truth is behind that.
The other great thing about that time
It is, yeah.
also was when Cassius Clay came here, he was in this area.
In
So the training centre is in up near the Stills on the Haverstock Hill, where Henry Cooper used to train, and they both used the same gym to do the
I
training.
think Frank Bruno used it as well.
But-
Yeah,
he used
Frank
to come and
Bruno
run in front
used
of
it.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
quite a famous little
It's just so
gym.
close to us.
And it's
right here.
behind what used to be called the Load of Hay pub, and now it's called the Hill or
So I
something.
photographed in the Repton Club. I mean, there's various other.
Well,
And my ex girlfriend was her father was his bodyguard when he came over. So there's all these sort of weird
connotations and
throughout
closeness.
my life,
Yeah.
and I followed him
Powerhouse
right
man.
away.
The
through.
Well, all I know is that I'm
He was one of my
incredibly
heroes.
blessed to have
Yeah.
spent, have got that job, and
Yeah.
that's all I can say. I just didn't realise how lucky I was at the time. I knew
Yeah, well, you found out really quick with Ali. Guys, as much as we like to, let's think about something right now. All of us are sitting here. All of us have been touched by this man, but we've also been touched here in Map, your place.
Yeah.
Because, when I first came here to Camden, it was, I walked around like a ghost, like kind of like, like that little mystical guy playing flutes in the tunnels before, living in squats. I was in the underground, and at the same time playing like Queen Elizabeth Hall and like doing all these, crazy shows. And I would come through Map, and I have never come here. Originally, it was because, remember we used to have data on our phone, and then I would use your Wi-Fi, like, oh man, let me check and make some phone calls real quick, or whatever I had to do. And then I would always come in. It was always an open place, and a lot of heads and a lot of people have passed through these doors not just to use your studio to get coffee. Kids come here, families come here. Everybody feels that this is an epicenter for like really kind, good people. That's all I can say when I come here. Even the paintings you have, when you have Hendrix and Mick Jagger, and I'm American. Well, pre-American and post-American, really, because I don't really consider myself American because that's a banking organization. And when I look at the paintings that you have up, I've seen these for years. They never left. But you have this this tribalism that's inside, and that when you look at the walls, and the people that come through is so mixed up and arrayed. Not just like one demographic. You'll have a very wealthy person, and you'll have this ghetto man that basically is a street sweeper. Then you have this other ghetto man that's a superstar and reggae artist. And then you have people like Ed Hatcher from Original African Indians coming in and hanging out with Christina Jansen and getting to touch the great ones. Like, do you ever have Robert Plant come through?
No.
We should get him here and get some thing, and we can get him to plant a plant, right? Show him the picture that you got. We need to put this. We need an exhibition for this. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
Don't discard that. I'll hold part of it.
Oh, show the beauty.
Look at that photo that Christina took.
He's grown in.
You can put it up there. It makes it look like you're Robert Plant. Oh, I'm Robert Plant. I'm sitting here having a podcast with Ed. Yeah, that's like,
he's still got his hair.
He's a lovely person.
He is.
Very
You introduced me to him. When I shook his hand, it was like, I swear to God, it was like I felt like I was a little kid, like I was good and shaking my uncle's hand. He's up and he comes down. He slouches. He's really humble. Maybe we can get a pot and we can like put some weed in it or something like that, and we get him to plant a plant in the map.
Anyway, this photo is actually, I took this when he was signing a guitar for charity and stuff. So yeah, he's a good guy. Very gentle, yeah. He's a
good, gentle giant.
Yep. Yeah.
Good guy.
Yeah, we need more of that in the world, don't we?
But who did we meet last week? Who was that we were hanging out? The guys from the Big Audio Dynamite, the Clash.
Okay, Gary McPherson from Big Audio Dynamite, and Paul Simonon from the Clash, who does a night on Thursdays. I better not tell too many people.
They'll all be there hanging out with us. Come on, let's cram it. Let's get everybody out, man. Let's have a big party.
And you met Chris Sadovich, who writes autobiographies.
Yeah, and there was Barry Ford.
We're hoping you're going to do something with Chris sometime in the future on your uncle.
My grandfather.
Your grandfather?
Bumpy?
Yeah.
We were talking about that. It was that we were outside and I just happened to have my book, the Harlem Godfather thing, which I'm dealing with right now. And I showed it to him and he just had an interest. But I told him, I said, I really would rather just focus on my life maybe after, like how we grew up. But, he showed some interest. But, I want to read some more of his works because... once you find out about people, he's a really good guy to have on a podcast because the plethora of knowledge that he's going to have. Didn't he work with like everybody from the Jaggers to,
Yeah, he did. I heard that, but you mean Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's done Bob Marley, autobiog. Yeah, he's done so many.
Yeah.
And you can Google that. Find out all that information. But I've known Chris for quite a while now, and always come across him, during the Clash tours in the 80s before they broke up.
Because the Clash really just knocked things out over here, man. They were really, a lot of people just know Rock and the Casbah, but they were part of a movement because you had the Windrush generation, and then everyone had come over, and then like there was this feudal thing, and then all of a sudden it was like, why am I fighting with these guys? These guys got wicked music, wicked food, they got wicked style, they're cool. They're not. Then if you don't start with them, we don't start with you, and then that's how everybody crossed over, and that punk, reggae, just everything melded like at one time during that time.
That was a different angle of punk that people didn't see.
Yeah,
it was a great cross culture.
Yeah,
there was after the gigs, we'd all go to reggae nights because those evenings would go on longer, 2 a.m. There were blues. There were all sorts of things to do within the Rastafarian culture, and that's what we got into. And, it was kind of not just strictly punk. It was a bit of a mixture.
Who was
of a
top dog
number
in the
of
reggae
things.
scene back then?
Well,
For the UK.
you know, Bob Marley always, but,
anywhere.
He soon left us, and then there was Gregory Isaacs, Dennis Brown, but there was also
Aswad
Big
here,
Youth.
Still
The
Cold,
British
Still Pulse.
bands. There was Aswad Culture, Reggae Regulars, Black Slate, the Cimarrons, Matumbi. There were so many bands, but
Even
so
you before
many
you came
drop-ins from Jamaica, like Fred Locks. And various other people. So we had a great mixture of culture in London.
With the punk rock that you were brought up
Yeah,
with, because I know that you were raised around a lot of the punk rock scene.
Yeah, sure.
Who's some of the cats in the bands that you were raised around?
Well, having gone to Kingsway College, I came out of that. As you may be aware of, Johnny Rotten, Sid Vicious, Joe Wobble, and Timothy Spall, the actor, used to be at that college. And when we came out, we're all roughly the same age. When we came out, we went our different directions, but I got kind of involved it with a promoter called Adrian Hopkins, who was he had a promotions company. He was a manager for bands like Thin Lizzy and Taste, Rory Gallagher, Richie Blackmore's Rainbow.
Richie Blackmore, that's another one. Yeah,
And I
there's a
think
deal.
he was this guy Adrian. He set up not only a management company, but he had a promotions company. So he was responsible for Nebworth and Reading. Adrian Hopkins.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then he done merchandise, and that's when I went and worked there, and all sorts of people would drop in, Vivian Westwood, and we'd be doing sampling there. And because I came out of that era with the punk scene, I started getting involved in doing the first punk bands, going on tour with them, and working with various bands, the Jam, the X-Ray Specs.
What's the most craziest thing that you saw when you was hanging out those fucking guys? What's the shit that like you think like, man, that makes you smile and think that, and you can tell it, yes you can.
Well, the first punk festival was in a place called Mont-de-Marsan, and it was on the borders of Spain and France, and it was in a bull ring.
Yeah.
And crazy situation on stage where when the Clash came on, I think it was Captain Sensible got up on the scaffold and tried to pee on them while they were playing. That was a bit crazy, but punks used to do some outrageous things on that in those days, and still do.
Did they start singing "Raindrops is Falling on My Head"? Raindrops falling on my head.
I don't know if that would have suited the Clash, but
Raindrops are falling on my head. You know. Oh well, you know it's funny because we're here now again, and I'd like to thank everybody that's here because like you know this is the first time that we got together. Just to have a little chin wag and stuff like that.
No, it's lovely.
Yeah.
And this place has been inspirational, you know. And I'm still shooting away, doing loads of portraits of, well, a lot of bands and album covers and actor and all sorts of stuff and exhibitions and stuff. And
but
I'm still
what
inspired.
are you doing? Where are you going to be for your next exhibition? I mean.
Well, I'm a resident artist in a gallery in Fitzroy.
Different, right? Different.
Yeah,
art?
Gallery different.
Yeah.
I've got one up in London Law Studios with where all the Netflix pictures are being shot at the moment, and hopefully I'm going to be working with Disney. I'm doing another few other stuff. So
yeah, tell them to pay me back for Godfather of Harlem.
Exciting
Tell them to pay my money.
But you know, I'm very lucky, and I you know I mostly love doing portraits of people. But,
Okay. Portrait, yeah. We're gonna do some portraits before I head back to America. Unfortunately, I'm going back, but I'm blessed because I'm heading to the reservation again.
Oh, I might be having an exhibition in LA. By the way,
I might meet you in LA. You can meet my cousin
Rena. I've been offered an
Rena.
exhibition in Los Angeles.
Let's go.
Still
That's
quite a distance away, aren't they?
Yeah.
LA and where you are.
No, but I have a vehicle.
Okay.
I'm gonna be going up to South Dakota, to Chicago, then South Dakota. And then I'm going to go to Sturgis for a minute. From Sturgis, I'm going to head to California. I'm going to head out, and I might check out Burning Man.
I'll keep you posted. Anyway, when that happens. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna party in the
That'd be
Sunset
great.
Strip.
Yeah.
Let's go to the Rainbow and hang out with Lemmy Kilmeister's statue, like Amy here. You know, we can have a good time and like go up and down the strip.
Yeah, I'll have to see if I can find that club that I went to along Sunset.
What is it, the Roxy? Troubadour?
No, there were two Nissan hats, and I was playing pool, and up came this actor and said, "Would you like a game?" And I went, "Yeah, okay." And I thrashed him. It's Keith Sutherland.
You played against Keith and Sutherland? Lost Boys?
I thrashed
Michael
Keith
Eat These Worms?
I thrashed Keith Sutherland, Mr. 24 at pool.
Did you kiss him?
No.
You didn't make out?
No.
You didn't want to?
No. Because I was with my boyfriend at the time.
Did he want
You
to?
don't do that sort of thing.
LA. You know what I mean? Oh, that's that. You know, I love LA stories because LA is such a trip. Like when you think about like Tower Records and hanging out on the strip and everything, and like, because I love that era of LA when you had like Motley Crue and Ozzy and Gene. Can you imagine the debauchery and craziness that would have happened during that period?
I actually stayed at the Chateau Marmont, and I was standing at the reception desk, and I didn't know I was standing amongst Guns N' Roses. I didn't recognise anyone.
Well, Slash lived in Laurel Canyon. He was very close.
They stole a limo that we had. Anyway.
They stole your limo?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's pretty cool, man. You've got a Guns N' Roses moment.
My ex's limo, but not. Anyway, it's a long.
It was yours because you guys were together.
We were supposed to go in it, but they'd taken it, and then the other limo wouldn't let us have it because they were waiting for guys. So it was a crazy story. But anyway, I enjoyed visiting LA, and I'm hoping to go back there.
LA's a trip. LA's a trip. You can go up to Santa Monica and like hang out. And there's a drum circles also that they have there. That's in Venice Beach. You know, and like the crazy things that happen in LA. I feel sorry because
I could see you on Venice Beach.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, of course with these muscles.
Yeah.
Last time I was there, I saw this guy on rollerblades, and he was showing off to all the women.
That's me. I was doing that.
You know,
you saw me like
they have that path all along the back of the beach, and that's where they all skateboard and they rollerblade, and
it's great.
This guy was showing off.
Yeah, I don't like the fact you can't walk along the street. You have to get in the car. But I've had I had an amazing meeting with Bob Hoskins around the swimming pool about a film I was working on there, and that was amazing.
Well, I saw quite a tragic accident. This guy showing off
LA,
to the
big
women,
city of dreams.
and then he done a turn and he just broke his leg somehow.
You know what the worst thing is happening now with LA?
Huh?
It's not the broken leg thing. The fact that you can break into somebody's car and not get arrested right now. You can actually, because it's like, I can't remember, we don't have a person with a computer to check, but I believe that if there's a crime that's under a certain amount of money, like $5,000 or something like that the police don't arrest you because it's not worth their time and energy. So there's a lot of break-ins. People are getting their cars broken in, like little robberies here and there. As long as it's not a violent crime, they pretty much let it go. So there's a lot of homelessness.
I'll tell you a funny story. I got done for parking more than 12 inches away from the curb.
Ooh.
I didn't know.
It's like, get his ruler.
I never paid for either. I just
12.1.
Yeah.
Ticket. LA is good for that. LA likes money. LA is very, very big on money. That's the problem with our cultures. Is just everybody's just trying to get and it puts in this. The parking ticket things is a little bit much.
It's
I think
the trouble with the world. You know,
Yeah.
everything's on profit, and it shouldn't be. Really.
Yeah. It's not benefiting everybody like it used to.
Yeah.
Well, it's like it's supposed to. So the benefit is like to certain people or others.
I won't mention the word Brexit.
No, this is supposed to be. No, listen. I didn't put this so I can. We're not.
And stuff. It's been shit.
Listen, I just heard a commercial years ago, and it said that it was from Germany, and it said that Brexit sounds like a German commercial. It said Brexit sounds like a kind of cat food.
Not to me, though.
It does, like Brexit for your cat. You know, like kind of like you know.
No, but I mean, if you wanted to tour around Europe, now you have to pay all this money.
Good.
And
experience what the rest of the world has been experiencing.
What?
When we come over here, we get the same thing.
When you say when we?
Americans.
Okay.
People that come over here and try to do the same thing, we have to go through hoops, and we speak the same language. We've got more in common in certain ways because of the language than some of the southern states, some of the southern areas. And I'm not saying not everybody's welcome because I don't believe personally in borders, first of all.
But
I don't like
but
them.
musicians have to pay a whole lot of money to bring their instruments over, and if you're earning money, that now it's ridiculous. The same with other
anything you're
Yeah.
exporting
No,
into
you don't know
Europe.
that it's really killed a lot of the touring thing.
Yes, it has. But that's the whole point, was to kill the music in the way that artists and musicians, because artists and musicians tell the time. They tell the time more than any of the newspapers tell. We're the ones that told, when you saw Vietnam, the newspapers were putting one thing, but the songs and the people singing about their families and their personal experiences got even deeper. So music and art and whatever you can produce is going to be a more accurate timetable. The 60s was an embarrassment to the United States government, the late 60s. Just like in the early 80s when you had the reggae sound system music, and you had the punk scene, and Margaret Thatcher just looked ridiculous compared to like what the brothers were coming at with.
Totally agree.
You know what I mean? And that's why Bob, when he came here, he's made the song Kenky Reggae, because, you know, like Punky Reggae, Punky, was it Kenky Reggae?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I should know. But
Punky
Reggae Party tonight, that's right. And that's when he made that it shows that the power when we mix our clans and our cultures, how it made us more powerful. And then the government are like, we're embarrassed, we can't have this type of movement again. And then won't you get record companies and different people that are not only trying to cut the lines of free artistry, but have it in a small window that they can manipulate and control. So they're like, oh, the only way you can do this is to have this type of thing. And now it's corny. Now people don't want to hear it. Look at Glastonbury that just happened. I looked at the venue of what was going on with the artists. I felt it was hardly anybody that I liked on that whole entire list of artists that were playing there. Elton John, of course. Elton John is Elton John. Guns N' Roses, great band. Apparently they're having some issues with the vocals and stuff. But that's all up to whatever. Because, I mean, they're staple points in our society. They're a part of our history.
Well, the feeling has gone, and it's kind of changed to this commercial festival now. Big money.
There were some really good artists in the smaller stages.
I'm sure
who
there
I
were.
have photographed. And
Were you there?
No.
You didn't go to Glastonbury?
No.
Okay.
I like a toilet near me. I don't stop.
Yeah, but there's a toilet anywhere as long as you can find a bush.
120,000 people. And, I'd love to go one time, but no, I didn't. But there were a few artists that didn't obviously get the accolade.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I went in 2010, my first time in Glastonbury, when I went to play, I saw. I'm going to say this again. Snoop Dogg on Friday, P-Funk on Saturday, and Stevie Wonder on Sunday. And everywhere in between. I've seen Motorhead. I've seen Mary J. Blige, Wu-Tang, B.B. King. I've seen, some massive musicians when I was there. That people on all the stages, not just the Pyramid stage. And we also were great and blessed enough to be able to do the drum circles, and we played for 18 hours at the drum circles, at the Stone circles.
It is interesting now, because I didn't know who was in the top 10 of the top of the thing, and actually there's an awful lot of people come back from the past, which surprised me, like Kylie and all these people that from years ago, and which is maybe that there is a shortage.
How far? You're not going very far back.
Not that far back, but people have
back when it was Stonehenge.
I mean, all those people, just still going.
Yeah, but it started off with a very hippie type festival, and it was like people from Stonehenge would finish Stonehenge, and they would go, and there was a tradition of going to Glastonbury. And now it just seems like it's an overbuilt, like mean fiddler guys that are up at the front, kind of like, I don't want to, get sued or anything, but these guys are up at the front, and it just seems like I'm going through like the Gaza Bank. Like you got one wall there, another, and a guy walking in the middle, like it just it's not. Even the artists are having troubles.
It's about the money and the people there too.
It's not being spread out enough.
It's just now for the people who can only afford it. As before, it was a whole mixture of people.
Yeah,
people with money, people without money, and they were all there.
Yep, it's a tough
and
about that one.
When Glastonbury was started, was the same
more
year
of a
I was
free
born.
Spirit.
I was born in 1970. Glastonbury was born in 1970. When I went in 2010, it was the 40th anniversary, and then I was my 40th birthday. that year. So like it's like everyone going like that. This year I didn't get in. We had a lot of issues. I think that one of the biggest things with these festivals is that they aren't watching out for the artists and the musicians, and people aren't like the drummers that we do at the top. We batter it out for no stone circles from like midnight to like the midday next day sometimes, and we're not given the accolades. I just saw that when I flew over, I saw the documentary, and I was like, well, where are those people at in the healing fields and where that go up to the stone circle and keep those fires burning for 11 days? And in the TP village, which keeps that massive fire, those are the places where people feel the heart in Glastonbury. They watch the acts, but then they want to go to the places that are like they can really be around the people in a more native and indigenous, way. And that's the real England for me. When I go to Cropperty Festival and I meet like Fairport Convention, where I met Robert, or like seen Robert, but I didn't get to meet him there. But you're the one that introduced me to Robert Plant. Remember that day we were out and you were like, oh, there's Robert. Like, there's nothing, man. Like, this, like, Robert Plant, okay, let me act cool. Let me try again. Like, it was one of those moments with Robert Plant for me. And you introduced me. You're the one that called. What was another brother that passed away that introduced us? He was a really
James.
kind. James. What was his last name? You remember?
Yeah. No. God, I can't remember his name.
That's all right. James will always be remembered one way or another. But it was James that and he brought us over.
Friend,
and we had the wine and Rob was hanging us. He was asking me more questions about me and my band and what I do as a musician. And I was just like, Robert Plant. I don't even want to ask a question that he hasn't heard before. You know what I mean?
No, he's very down to earth. Another one.
Oh, another one. That's why he went to. That's this festival. I'll tell you guys. It's in the Midlands. It's called a Property Festival in Fairport Convention. Mm-hmm. It's one of the most down to earth, beautiful festivals in the whole of England. Okay. It's got a natural amphitheater, and no matter what the weather conditions are, it's in like October. People are just so lovely there, and the music is impeccable. So, there are
a lot of them, which is quite nice.
I'm happy
I was part of the Foodies Festival, my friend Clive Lane. I photographed that down in Brighton, and then another one up in, what's the name, Park, near Richmond.
Richmond?
Yeah.
Oh, I love Richmond Park. When those deer start running in the autumn,
Yeah.
Wait a minute. How are you guys with wildlife? Are you, do you ever film a lot of wildlife? Would you go out there and do the deers?
I'm here. I'm already dealing with it. Anyway, no,
I'm doing a podcast now. I'm not so wild. I can sit in one seat. It's like they put the glue down. I'll try to get it off later. I can't sit still.
I admire people who shoot amazing pictures of wildlife. I haven't really done much of that.
All right.
No.
What if I jump on an elk's back and we ride it down Richmond Park? Would you film that?
Nah.
All right. She's a hard woman to please.
I used to have a ferret.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
What did you do with your ferret?
Oh, he was just a ferret I'd take out occasionally.
Did you hook up with ladies and
Everyone
stuff like that?
with dogs
look at my ferret.
Run scared.
Really? They were afraid of the ferret?
I had a ferret for a couple of years.
Uh-huh.
But then it went off into the wild.
In Richmond, and started mating with the badgers, and they become badgers.
But locally here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I had rabbits, but I get a bit of time to go away over to Ireland.
Oh, we're not talking about pets. We're talking about the wild. When's the last time you guys... I live next to alligators,
man. If you go to the west coast of Ireland, you're going to see wild goats everywhere.
Leprechauns.
And you're going to see lots of...
and nowadays you'll see pictures of all sorts of animals that look amazing.
Yeah, well,
I've
swam with Fungi, the dolphin.
I have as well.
In Ireland, in Dingle.
I swam with Fungi too. And he didn't die that long. He lived a long time. I didn't know dolphins did that. And I did.
Well, we don't know if he died. He's just disappeared somewhere. Maybe he'll come back in another life.
He was.
If he's Hindu.
No, but anyway,
If he's Hindu.
Anyway, guys, today is very special, and it's my first podcast.
Yeah, lovely. really. No.
Yes, the Hatcher effect.
Congratulations.
And I gotta let you guys know that you've affected my life, Robert's music, Ali definitely, and how these bridges are now over. I've only been here for a little while, and soon I'm going to be heading back to Turtle Island. And, you know, I just had to get you guys on there because, like I said, you guys, you know, an integral part of the community. Like when I had no place to stay years ago when I lived in London, when I was between places, and you took my stuff from me and kept it safe and dry and protected.
Can I just, before I go, the history with Ali, once I finished doing this shoot,
Yes, ma'am.
this commercial, and I realised there were all these people, you know, that were a bit dodgy involved. I hid my pictures for 20 years because I didn't want to use them. Yeah. I had a little exhibition, and then I realised a lot of people turned up. And to cut a long story short, I realised when they did, yes, and then I will stop, is that I thought I could raise money for charities. Mm-hmm. And one of my proudest things recently, I put all my Ali pictures on this Weird World NFTs. Oh, and I'm an ambassador for an amazing charity called Boxing Futures, who will get kids off the street and help them with psychological help. They do non-contact boxing with them. Okay. And I put this picture up with Ali holding up a kid on this NFT that went separate, and I raised £10,000 on this one image to help build this gym up in Peterborough. And so I have done some great stuff through having met him. So, you know, and I'm sure he'd be proud of me as well.
There's a time.
It's amazing. It was just so lovely.
I wish that was that kid, man. How he like throwing you up in the air.
Yeah, so you know, and I'm still doing it, and I hope to have another exhibition to get the government to raise more money for sporting facilities in the Great Hall, and we'll see how that happens. But I'm fighting. You know, it's lovely. I can use the memory and stuff of Ali to help raise money for all these good things. Yeah, bless.
Good one.
And Chris, what anything good going on besides recording with the original African Indians next week?
Yeah, I'll be up for that.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting.
I remember taking a photo of you downstairs playing the drums.
That's right. When we were doing right before I left.
A long time ago. Yeah.
Just so people know, like right before I left England, the reason that I was living here for a long time, about 17 years, and the reason that I left is my mom, Margaret Jansen, had passed away. And I needed to go home and become the executor of my estate, my grandpa Bumpy's estate and everything else. Mm-hmm. So when I left, it was my time to spend as much time with my friends as possible. So I would come to Christina and I would chill, and then I would go and get sloshed out of my brains because it was a time when it was just like really harsh. Yeah, it was tough. And but I left in such a peaceful mode. One of the things that I left with the way I could is because when I went to see Black Sabbath and I went to see Ozzy at the O2, and it just was just powerful. And I came back into Chris's studios downstairs and I recorded that Camden Town song with the flutes and everything. Yeah. And it was a good thing to get to at least get that out because I wanted just one more studio before I left back to Turtle Island.
I mean, we're all sort of surviving. You've done amazing here, keeping this place alive, and I'm so proud of you. And it's so important for this community.
Big time.
And I wish you well, and everybody should come here. And you as well. You're so brave, and it's not easy what we do.
No.
And I think we have to keep the faith and support one another. And I think partly thank you for inviting me today, because
it's not just my show; it's our show. Yeah,
it's about supporting one another.
We need to pass it.
Yeah,
on.
and I met you and supported you.
Pass it on to the generations that are coming
before we croak.
Yes, I agree. And just don't give up.
We all have
As
something
Lisa, should we do one last thing before we go?
All right, we're going to take cards right now.
One last quote.
Ladies and gentlemen.
We have to go. Let's see what we get.
Let's do this. So we're thinking about right now, because we're going to wind it up soon.
Rest in peace.
We had the Seminole Indian Cafe, right? I mean, casino, and they're the ones that own all the Hard Rocks. Let me try to give it. Ready? Because I'm trying to pretend I'm like in like the casino and everything. Ready?
Okay. All right.
Pick a card, any card.
Okay, I'll have that one. I don't know what.
The one with the bubble gum on it?
No, that one.
No one wants the one with the bubble gum.
I want that one.
You have that one. Yeah.
Go ahead, Christina.
Okay.
You pick one too first.
So this is Ali actually sitting in his chair. You can't see the picture, but I will read it. At home, I'm a nice guy, but I don't want the world to know. Humble people I've found don't get very far.
Yeah.
Don't be too humble. You don't have that problem.
No, it's like Louis Armstrong. You blow your own horn.
Yeah, you know. Okay. What have you got, Chris?
Silence is golden when you can't think of a good answer.
Yeah. What have you got, hon?
I don't have a good answer. All right, I have.
What are you holding there?
I'm so fast that last night I turned off this light. Oh, I know this. I was. I done wrestle with an alligator. I done tussle with a whale. I done handcuff lightning, throw thunder in jail. Only last week I murdered a rock, hospitalized a brick. I'm so mean I make medicine sick. I'm so fast. Last night I turned off the light switch in my hotel room and was in the bed before the room was dark. Incredible, incredible. And you, George Foreman, you on the Hatcher Effect right now. And the Hatcher Effect is officially over. Thank you, guys.
And also, just Ali's philosophy of life, he told me, which is a wonderful one. And this is all to do with all of us. So, and he said to me, if you reach for the moon, you'll end up next door. But if you reach for the stars, you'll get to the moon. Yeah.
Bring an oxygen tank and some boots and a spaceship, because not much happening on the moon right now. So aim for the nebulas, way out there, and you might get P-Funk, mothership. All right? Let's stay connected.
I think that's a good thing to do.
Let's stay connected, family.
Thank you.
I hope. All right, guys. Hey, thanks, guys. Let's relax.
Yeah.
We're gonna party tonight. We're gonna hang out in London town, right here in Camden Town, on the Hatcher Effect. We love you guys. Rock and roll.